Imagine, it's the year 2023. You're a 28-year-old guy and you've already met the love of your life, the absolute perfect soul, someone that you are so sure about that you've already married her. You're thinking about rocking cradles, loving her right, and spending the rest of your lives together. Only to find out that she stalked you for years before you got together. Well, that is the reality of this poor guy who is unfortunately the antagonist of this Reddit story by user hot_relation899. I, 24F, married my husband, 28M, about a year and a half ago. The first time I saw my husband, I was a freshman in high school, while he was a freshman in college. He was walking his dog at the park when he stopped to talk to my brother, 27M, because they happened to go to high school together. That was the moment I became absolutely hooked. That day, I found his Instagram, his social media, and also where he lived, since my brother offered to walk him home while I tagged along. When I got home that day, I knew I wanted him, but of course, I was only 14 while he was 18, so I came up with a plan. I found out his younger brother was only 1 year younger than me and would be attending my current high school. I figured that I had to befriend his younger brother by any means necessary next year when he becomes a freshman. And I did. It took around halfway through my junior year before we finally became friends, and he started to invite me over to his house regularly. This is where I was able to befriend my current husband's mom. And God, did she love to talk about him. From her, I found out what college he goes to, his past girlfriends, what his elementary and middle school were like, his favorite and least favorite foods, his pet peeves, what he likes, and more. Eventually, when my visits started getting more and more frequent, I formally met my current husband again. Current husband, we'll call him E, would come over every other week and stay for either Friday to Sunday or Saturday to Sunday. On those days specifically, I would wear my cutest outfits to impress him, and also joke around with him a lot. Eventually, I befriended him as well. A little background on E is that he is the school record holder for a certain sport at my school, which I just so happened to do. Around halfway through my senior year, E came back during the season to help coach the current high school athletes, which included me. In order to get some more volunteer work hours in, I got to spend a lot of time with him, and I loved every second of it. We were friends before, but then we became much closer since I got to spend lots of extra time with him after school. Or sometimes he would even drive me home since we lived relatively close. Fast forward to when I had moved away to NYC for college. E moved with me since he coincidentally got a job near my college. But it wasn't a coincidence. I found out he got a job offer and applied to a college nearby his workplace. Being each other's only friends in a new state, we became incredibly close. We started dating when I was almost in my sophomore year of college. He proposed to me after I graduated, and we got married almost a year ago. He knows absolutely nothing about how I truly know him, and he believes that it's fate that brought us together through his younger brother. Lately, I've been debating on whether or not I should tell him, or at least his younger brother, the truth, since the only reason I befriended him was to get closer to E. I feel guilty every time he tells others our love story, because the truth is, I've known him for 10 years, while he's only known of me for 7. Update from about a week later. I told him this 4th of July. After the fireworks mostly ended, we were heading back, and I asked him in the car, wouldn't it have been weird if we met each other before the first time we actually met? but just didn't think of each other as significant at the time? He smiled and turned to me saying, "That's impossible. There's no universe where we would have met and I would not have thought of you as significant." That statement struck me in the heart because I knew I would soon prove that sentence very wrong, but I continued on with my plan either way. What if I told you we have met each other before? Before that time I was introduced as E's little brother's friend. He looked at me like I was crazy, so that's when I pulled over on the side of the road and pulled out my phone to show him the post I put up here before. That explains everything. He took about 8 minutes to read the whole thing, and when he finished, he put the phone down and stared straight ahead. Almost like he was dumbfounded, scared, and confused all at the same time. I started throwing out every excuse and apology I could muster at the moment for about 15 minutes straight when he decided to tell me to stop, and I did. Then he just sat there and sobbed uncontrollably for about 20 minutes before finally asking me how much of our relationship and how much of my identity was fabricated according to his liking. I told him the honest truth. None of my personality or identity was fabricated for him except the fact of how we met. The only thing I ever changed about myself to make him like me more was lying and liking Chinese food. I hate Chinese food, but other than that, everything else was real. Although my friendship with his younger brother was built upon ill intentions, my friendship between his brother and I are now one of the most genuine friendships I have. He cried and told me that he does not want a divorce at all, but he does want us to have some time apart so that way he can absorb the truth that I gave him. He said that he also expects me to tell his brother and his mom this Friday because they deserve to know the truth just as much as he did. I told him okay, and we drove the rest of the ride home in silence. When we got home, he hugged me and cried for about 5 minutes before he got out of the car, packed his stuff, and said that he would be staying at a nearby hotel for now. He said that he knows that he still loves me, but doesn't know yet how to react to the fact that the beginning of our relationship was very, very orchestrated. To sum it all up, I guess telling him was a success? I honestly don't know. He sent me a goodbye and I love you text last night while he was at the hotel, so I guess he's not as mad as he may be betrayed? Update the next morning. Woke up this morning to find that hubby not only lied about going to a hotel to stay at, but also lied about not wanting a divorce through a text message. He went to his family's home, not a hotel, and told them the entire story himself, probably exaggerated it too to make me seem crazy. His whole family wants nothing to do with me now and claims that I'm a psycho. He said that he lied about going to a hotel because he knew that if he told the truth, I would try to stop him. Honestly, I feel so betrayed. I tried to be a good wife by showing him the true me, and this is what he does. I did all this work just for it to end up like this. Honestly, I kind of deserve it. I didn't even tell him in the first place because I felt bad. I told him because I had a suspicion that he was catching on to the fact that I knew him for 2.5 years before he knew me. Largely because I found out he was keeping my old phone in his work desk. My old phone that has screenshots of a lot of his old Instagram posts and plans in my notes app about him. So, I guess he never truly loved me if he can't get past an honest confession like this. I might update this in a few years when I find a new husband. Holy moly, this chick's actually crazy.